What's up everyone? So in this video, I would be building out an automation that I am using right now in my AI automation agency that is really helpful to me and could be really helpful to you as well. So firstly, we would be going through how this automation works, how I am automating my company slash business researching process, and then we would be going towards building out from scratch. So here is a quick overview of how this automation is working, and then we would be going towards building it. So here, when I provide the URL of the company, it would go to a supervisor agent. So what the supervisor agent is doing is just it is supervising both these agents. So when we pass out the URL to the supervisor, it would invoke the search agent. The search agent would extract the relevant information about the website or the business or the any website that you provide here. It would extract the relevant information about that, and then it would go back to the supervisor. Supervisor would see which agent to invoke next. Then it would invoke the analyzer agent. So here is the main thing that is happening over here. So after getting the information about that company or the business, this analyzer agent would see if the company slash business has the potential to integrate our AI solutions or not. If yes, it would provide me 4 to 5 different AI automation solutions that we could offer them, which I would send over to make.com. And this would send the data, all the relevant information, all the solutions that we could do for the company that makes my research process easier, and save it to Google Sheets, and then give me back the response that it has saved it or not. So in this project, we are combining code and no code tools both. So I think it is the time to completely build it. So let's start with that. So in order to build this automation, you have to come over to VS Code. If you are from non-coding background, you don't worry about that. I would provide you the whole guide of how you have to work in it. And here I have just simply initialized my project in order to use some TypeScript. And here we are using LangChain in order to build this automation workflow. And we would be using Langgraph from LangChain only in order to build out the workflows. And for the tools, we are using LangChain community from where we would be getting out our Twilly search tool and everything. So first, I would be installing all that. So it would take some time and we would get back after that. Now, after installing all the dependencies that we need for this project, what we would be doing first is we would be making our make automation so that it would be easier for you to understand and easier for me as well to explain it to. So I'll come over to make.com. So I would create a new scenario over here and I would name it as, you could say, research. And then what you need to do is create a webhook which would be taking over our data that would be coming from our analyzer agent. I would explain you better when we create that analyzer agent in our code. So first, what you have to do is add a webhook. You could name it anything you want, and you would get a URL over here. What you have to do is just copy this. Okay. And next, what you have to do is go over to Google Sheets, as we have to take all over the insights, the company name, the information, anything else information, and save it to a Google Sheet. So I would say add a row. I would search for add a row or something. Yep, here it is. And for now, let me just make a new sheet. I would call it as new one for now. I would take a company name and the insights that we would be getting from our code project. And here I would take the email information as we if we need to contact them. So we could make another automation and use this as and use that as well. So the next thing I would be using is socials. After creating the heading fields, I would go back to my make automation. Just create a new connection. Here you have to create a new connection by click on add. And then what you have to do is choose over a connection. I got this one and I'll keep this one for now. I'll click on this, click here to choose file. And here are all the files. The name what the file was new one. Okay, I have selected that. Now I would be getting the sheet. and we would be getting the fees. Okay. So here we would be providing over all the data that we would be getting over from custom web. So for that, I would be not setting up right now that I would just unlink it and see if the data is coming from this webhook or not. I'll just copy this URL as this is important URL for now. Now we would be making our code project. First, you have to import all the dependencies that we need to use in order to run this project. Next, I would be initializing a graph state. Here is the code for initializing the graph state. Here we have an agent state channels, and this is just for providing the values that we would be getting. So here messages is where all the data coming from, let's say the search tool or the insights that would be generated by the analyzer tool would be saved here. The next is for the supervisor. I would explain you that. Here we have a diagram. So what this supervisor is doing based upon the user URL or the business site that we get here, the supervisor would see which worker I have to run. So we have two workers. First is the researcher and the second one is the analyzer tool. So supervisor would see based upon the data that it is getting, it would run the tool specified according to the task that it needs to perform. So first, getting the URL, it needs to perform the research as we need to get the relevant data about that company or that business, and then it would go back to the supervisor. Then the supervisor would pass out the next tool or the agent that it needs to run, which I think would be our analyzer agent. So this next string is for that only. It would tell us what next agent to perform. So after initializing both of these, we need to now initialize our tools that we would be using in our project. So first one is the Tavili tool, which would be searching over the internet to find the relevant information about the URL or the business site that we would be providing it to. The next tool is an analyzer tool. So this is the main tool that would be performing our automation and connecting over to Make in order to send that data from the analyzer agent. So what it is doing is given the company's data, extract relevant information. So here we have provided with the name. In description, the schema is basically what values it would be getting. So we are getting company name insights that it would see if the company has a potential for our A solutions or not. And it would provide us 4 to 5 solutions that we could offer to the company. Email is the company's email and the social links you can get it. So in this function, what we have to do is make a fetch call to our webhook URL in order to send that data to the make.com and also connect it there. So what we have to do is I would just paste out the URL here that we got from make.com webhook. So I'll just copy it and come back, paste it over here. And the response we would be getting, I would say just for now the data. And we also need to provide a method over here. So I would just open curly braces and say a post method. And then we need to provide the headers in order to send our content properly. Okay. I would say application, JSON. And next, we need to provide the data that we need to send. I would say JSON.stringify the data we are passing it here. So I need to change the data. I would say make data because there was a duplication and it was showing error based upon that. So I would again do some make JSON. This would be the response that would be coming from the make in order to check if the automation had run successfully or not. So I would just console log the response that is coming from make.com as well as return that response. Okay, in order to see what we are getting. So after that, what we have to do is initializing something. So I would explain you that also. So what we are doing here is basically we are initializing a function, create agent function, and it is taking over some instructions that we would be passing. It is taking in LLM. We would be using OpenAI over here. You can use any kind of model that you like. I would be using GPT-4o mini. That is really cheap as well as faster and its performance is pretty good over here. So I'm initializing an OpenAI tool agent, passing over the tools to it in order to run it efficiently. And here is the two members that we are using. You can say the workers as well, the researcher and the analyzer. Here is the system prompt for the supervisor. This was the supervisor that would be seeing what tool to invoke according to the data it is getting. So you are a supervisor, you have members. So given that user request, you have to act accordingly and provide the next response, or you can say the next agent to invoke. So this is all for that only. So after that comes the making the chain part, which would be responsible for running the whole workflow and everything. So what we are doing here is we are providing another prompt that it needs to provide us what next tool to run. Okay. So this is for the supervisor only. This is same for, we are just formatting it. And here is the main chat model that we would be using. We are initializing OpenAI, and we are also using LLM with the tools. So we are binding over some tools to it. So the tools that we would be getting from the next, basically the tools that we would be getting from the supervisor, that would be passed. And here is the main chain is getting with the prompt, passing the LLM and inputting in JSON output tool passive format. Now next comes the part of initializing are basically the agents. So these are the main parts. So what here is happening is basically we are initializing a researcher agent. We are invoking that create agent function, passing over the LLM, which is this one. And the tool is basically Tivoli tool, which is responsible for searching over the Google and finding out relevant information based upon the URL we provide. So we are passing out the instructions as well that you are a web researcher. You have to use Tivoli search engine to search and get important information. You will be provided with business website URL, and you need to extract brief information about that, and also so that it can be used by analyzer agent. So we have just providing the instructions. You can customize also these prompts according to your requirements. And here is a researcher node that would be used for the Langgraph workflow. And next, what we have to do is simply initialize the analyzer agent as well. So this is the main prompt that we are using. So what this analyzer agent is doing basically, it is taking over the data from the researcher node that we are getting from the Google search, and it would identify that whether the companies or the business has capability of integrating that AI solutions or not. So it is just identifying and providing me 4 to 5 solutions that we could do for the company. And then it would just run our analyzer tool, which is taking over the company's data like company name, insights, email, social links, and saving it to make.com. Now here is the prompt that we are providing. You could pause the video and also see that. You could also customize that. You could perform many kind of tasks with it based upon your requirements. And next is just an analyzer node to run it. And here we are saving these values as a human message in the messages, as we have seen that in agent state. Now the final step is to just run this graph and seeing the response of how it is performing or not. Now, here is the workflow that we are using in order to run all the workflow that we have built for now. So the things that are left in analyzer agent is to complete our make automation so that it gets the data and work according to us. So here is the input field that where we are providing out the website URL, or you can say the business URL. So this business is basically, I guess, an e-commerce store, which is, you can say, a t-shirt brand, and I am providing their website, and then it will perform all my tasks and give me insights of what we can do for this business and how we can integrate AI into their business. And then it would run the make automations and save it to our Google Sheets. So here we have completed our the code part, and now we have to complete our make automation as well. So I would just run it for now. We need to just get the data in our webhook to see if it is working or not. For now, it would show us an error because we are not returning anything from the make. So that is the thing. For now, I'll just, for the testing purposes, I would just say npx tsx index.tx. I would just run this file and just click on enter. And here it would be first running the researcher agent. So I'll be explaining you this workflow again. For now, let's see if we are receiving the data or not. So it does take some time. to extract the data from the web and pass it to here. I would be explaining the workflow happening there. So you can see we have received the company name, the insights as well. So here are all the insights that it has provided me. We would see that in detail once we save that in this new one file. So what I have to do is just connect this and pass it here. So company name would be the company name. Insights I would just pass it out here. So the email and the social part was we have set that to optional, that it is not even required. If we want that, we could set it to required as well in order to get it. So for now, I'll just click on OK. And also I would pass out another response in order to provide the response to my code part, so that we could also get notified over there that all the workflow has been completed and it has saved the data to our Google Sheets as well. So I would just pass it like curly braces because we need to pass it in the form of JSON. I would say the response equals to everything sorted and saved to Google Sheets. I would just say that, click on OK. And now we could run our whole automation and test out if it is working or not. I'll just click on run once and come over to my code project again. I would just say npx, tsx and index.ts in order to run the file completely. I will just click on enter, and now I would explain you the whole work. Once it goes to the supervisor decides here to run the researcher agent. Now the researcher agent would run that Tivoli search, and that Tivoli search is getting over the data from that site URL that we have provided. Then it goes to the analyzer agent. The analyzer agent give us back some insights, the insights that we have talked earlier also, the things or the automations that we could offer to the company analyzing their data. So here are some insights. We are sending it back to the make automations. So let's come over to make. You can see it has run successfully. So if we go to our file, you could see the whole data that it has got us back from running the whole automations. Here is the company name that we have provided over here. You can see the name is correct. Here is the insights that it has offered. I think there is some contradiction between these. We would see that later because this was all the optional also. So that was not even required. The main thing that we got from here is the insights that we were wanting. So first, it has provided us personalizing shopping experience, implement AI-driven recommendation systems to suggest products based upon the customer preference and browsing history. So I think that is really a good suggestion for the automations that we could implement in their business. And we could reach out to them and suggest to them these automations. Also, the solutions that we are getting from here is pretty good. Like you see, inventory management, utilize AI for predictive analysis to manage inventory level, forecast demand, and everything. And customer service automations that we do offer in our AI automation agencies. Deploy AI chatbot for 24/7 customer support, handling inquiries, and providing assistance. So I think it has provided us pretty good kind of insights that we could implement in that company. So I would test another one. Let's take a educational platform. So basically this platform is scalar.com. Once we go to our input field, here is we have to provide the site URL. I'll just paste it over here. Now after providing the URL of the site, I would just run again the automation. I would say npx tsx index.ts in order to invoke the automation again. I would just click on enter, and now this would run our automation. What it is doing is running this researcher agent. This would research and find out relevant information about the company, running the analyzer agent, and then it would provide us insights as well as saves to our Google Sheets. So here is the insights that it has provided us. Let's come over to our make. You can see it has performed pretty good. Let's come over to our Google Sheets, and here is the insights that it has provided us. So here is the company name, and here is all the information that it has provided. You could see personalized learning paths, automated grading, predictive analytics. So these are not simple chatbot solution you could see. These are totally complex advanced system, or you could say AI system or software that we need to provide, or we could leverage them in their automation. So this is pretty good automation for research purposes, and also brainstorming that what kind of automations we could provide to the company. We could just find the companies and pass it to this automation and run it in a loop, and this would just save it to our Google Sheets. So I think this automation is a pretty good solution for your AI automation agency as well. So if you like this video, hit a like button and also subscribe to the channel, because we would be making crazy content from now, like these automations were.